Well, good news, everybody. We finally have, via the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Public Affairs, Antifa cell members convicted in Prairieland ICE detention center shooting. Now, Prairieland, for those of you who don't know, is in Texas. It's outside of Fort Worth. It's this area right here. And for those of you in my audience who don't know where this is, if we zoom out, there's Fort Worth. It's giant. It's here. It's in Texas in the United States for those of my foreign audience. But yeah, so this is a pretty big deal in my opinion. I think this is long overdue. So 9 North Texas Antifa cell operatives were convicted today by a federal jury for their roles in rioting, using weapons and explosives, providing material support for terrorists, obstruction, and attempted murder of an Alvarado police officer at the Prairieland ICE Detention Center on July 4th, 2025. Yes, finally, they should be convicted for that. I am sick and tired of these Antifa idiots getting away with all this silliness. If this were any other person, if the roles were reversed and this were a right-wing person, a nationalist that took out an FBI agent serving a January 6th from protester, they would have had the book thrown at them already. And they have a 12-day trial that began on February 23rd. Testimony 45 witnesses. And these are them, all them named here. And then you also have the other ones named here. I will say that it is a shame that it has taken almost a year to get them under these charges. Our justice system, unfortunately, in the US works very slowly. Which is weird because, you know, you have, according to our constitution, you have a right to a quick and speedy trial. Maybe this is a really small brain take, but I don't think, was that ever meant to be taken literally? I don't know. If someone with more knowledge of what quick and speedy trial means can comment down below on whether that's meant to be taken literally or just as a saying. Please let me know. Anybody who's a lawyer, thank you. That'd be amazing. Um, but anyway, so Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization. Yes, true. They have been allowed to flourish. Definitely in the blue cities, they've been allowed to flourish in a lot of places. It sucks. And it will not be the last. Thank you. The Trump administration systematically dismantles Antifa and finally halts the violence in American streets. Now, here's the other thing. I know that a lot of people on the right have been discouraged with the pacing of President Trump's legal war on Antifa. And I think a lot of people are demoralized and say, like, well, he's not actually doing anything. These people will never be charged. I am somewhat in agreement. However, I also understand because our legal system works so slowly, this is probably, hopefully, going to be more of a slow burn. And we can finally see a bunch of these people become unmasked and sent off to prison. Like, yes, I know it seems rather slow right now, but I'm hoping that as the year goes on, we'll see a lot more. If that happens, I will be pleasantly impressed. And I know a lot of people have criticisms about Pam Bondi as Attorney General. I do as well. I don't think she's very, what's the word? I don't think she was the right person for this job. I think I really wish that Bill Gates, no, not Bill Gates, Matt Gates. Oh my gosh, Bill Gates. No, I really wish that Matt Gates hadn't dropped out in the running for Attorney General. I wish that he got confirmed, and I wish that he had fought because everyone else in the Trump administration got confirmed. I'm not saying that Pam Bondi has been a total disaster, but I do believe that I wish it was somebody else. But, you know, Again, slow burn. She has gotten a lot of good things done lately. I didn't like her handling of the Epstein files, but it is what it is. Hopefully, she ramps up things soon. That'd be amazing. So I'm neutral towards Pam Bondi. I'm not for her, and I'm not really against her, but I hope she does better. Okay, and let's see here. Yes, yes, yes. They have been brought to justice for their violent acts and attempts to conceal them. The FBI remains committed to identifying, locating, dismantling Antifa and its funding networks across the country, said FBI Director Kash Patel. Yes, thank you, sir. Acts of violence against our law enforcement partners will not be tolerated as we continue our work to protect communities across the country from domestic terrorism, as you should. Thank you, FBI. Everyone ramps on Kash Patel for not being competent, but I actually do think he is a very competent person. I just think that our justice system works very slow, unfortunately. So make that what you will. Yes, I think this is amazing because again, here it is. Actually, it's spelling right out here. This case marks a historic moment as it represents the nation's initial federal indictment targeting a coordinated group of Antifa cell members engaged in violent criminal activity. This is good. This is good. We cannot have, because the way it used to be was, yes, you'd have Antifa members getting arrested, but then they'd be released the next day. We cannot have that. We cannot have that anymore. This has gone on for far too long. I remember seeing these people in 2015 beating up families going to Trump rallies or other conservative gatherings, only to be released the next day. I am glad this is starting to take off. Benjamin Song. Oh, and the funny thing is that yes, you have 11 defendants rioting and attacked the Prairieland Detention Center in Alvarado, Texas, which the DHS was using to house illegal aliens awaiting deportation. The defendants dressed in black bloc, dark clothing with head and face coverings that conceal their identities, designed to hide each individual's identity, but also to aid and abet those members engaged in legal acts by making members indistinguishable from one another in law enforcement. So yes, you have these people. They put their masks on and whatnot, and they say that you can't prosecute them because Antifa isn't an organized group. And that's literally been the argument. Well, you can't declare Antifa a terrorist organization because they're not an organized group with a clear hierarchy. There's no person at the top of Antifa. You can't go see because here's the way that right wing and left wing organizations work. Left wingers, they don't believe in hierarchy. Right wingers do. In a right wing organization, there will be a clear hierarchy of membership. You'll know someone who's at the top, then they have their deputies, and then they have the people below them, and then all the way down to the street level. Sort of like how the mafia is organized. I would argue the mafia is a perfect example of a very right wing organization. Not right wing organization, but right wing type of organizing. You have someone clearly at the top, you have the direct lieutenants, and then you have the underlings that go out and what is it? Protest or whatever. The left doesn't have that. I mean, of course, some of their people, some of their organizations do, but Antifa, for example, they don't believe in hierarchy. They believe in collective leadership. They believe in spontaneous organizing. So what will happen is you'll get these people in online on chat groups and whatnot, and they'll be like, "Hey, guess what? ICE come to town or whatever," and a bunch of people on that group will be like, "All right, sure, let's go. Let's meet up here, here, and here." But there'll be no defined leader. So it looks like it's totally spontaneous, and that's how they do it. That's then they get on the ground and they get into little stupid outfits and be like, and then afterwards like, well, you can't declare us a terrorist group because we don't have any clear leader, we don't have a hierarchy, whatnot. Well, that's ridiculous. First of all, that you can't be if Antifa isn't a terrorist group, then okay, you're committing lone wolf terrorism, um, with other lone wolf terrorists. Like that's the alternative here. Because you can't just say, oh well, I'm not part of a group technically. I'm just a part of a gaggle of guys that just met up on the street and decided to commit terrorist action. No, that's not a defense. You can, like rioters, they don't have a clear leadership either. Also, but we still arrest them and charge them with stuff. So yeah, these guys did all this stuff, and now and they were so confident that they would never be prosecuted as terrorists because of this stupid logic they use. Well, guess what, guys? You're terrorists now. Like you have pushed the federal government's hand because a country cannot survive if we just allow people to just target our government offices with no consequence. We cannot allow people to target our law enforcement with no consequence. Our immigration enforcement, especially. Like, these people probably thought they were doing a great thing raiding this detention facility that was housing illegal aliens, which was probably housing a lot of criminals, rapists, murderers, and whatnot. And now they're going to jail for it. Look at this. Their leader, Mr. Song, faces a minimum penalty of 20 years in prison and a maximum penalty of life in prison. The rest of these people face 60 years and 40 years maximum penalty. They threw their lives away because they believe that, oh, ICE is evil. We have to let out these illegal aliens who we don't know who they are. They could be the worst people on the face of the planet, but because America's deporting them, we got to let them out. And now guess what? Now they're facing a much harsher sentence than the illegal aliens are facing. The illegal aliens are just getting deported. These people are going to jail for years. Way to go, dudes. Way to go. And that's the stupid thing. Is that the stupid thing about all this anti-ICE, anti deportation stuff is that these people are getting deported to where they can, and then they could live their lives however they choose to afterwards, if they weren't caught committing crimes like in America, of course. Like they're still free. They're free after the detention period, which isn't that long. Well, we would hope to make it shorter, but certain political elements are impeding that process. But once they're gone, they're free to do whatever the heck they want in their own country. Now these guys, these doofuses, are heading to jail for years in their country, in our country, because someone didn't explain the logic to them, or they just didn't care, or they're too stupid to understand it. Like, I'm dumbstruck by people who think this is a good choice. And then you get the little defenders on the social medias. Frickin' whoever this is, Grace Motter, cis exclusionary Marxist feminist. Of course it is. Of course it is. Saying America has just convicted 9 people, including 2 trans women, of terrorism for going to a protest. They'll probably spend the rest of their lives in jail, and in the case of the trans woman, getting constantly raped. I highly doubt that last one, but look how they frame this. Terrorism for going to a protest. These people live in an alternate reality. Or no, actually no, they don't. They're just lying. These people just lie, and look, they got so much backlash to it, muting this because some big Nazi accounts got a hold of it. Yeah, runaway coward. And then they have a support committee for the Prairieland defendants, and then you have this Canadian, epic Canadian man coming in here saying they fired at police, and you're not helping a cause. You're just making it worse with the lies and cause of victimhood. Very true, Mr. Canadian man. He should be given a high position once we annex Canada. Make him governor of whatever province. The most amazing Canadian here. And it's like, what did the cops do? They prompted people at the protest to defend themselves. Their job. I mean, the protesters doing their job too. No, they weren't. They were there of their own volition voluntarily to impede the legal enforcement of United States immigration law. I and the worst part about this is that you may laugh at this person here, this freaking Grace Motor. But there is a large, large contingent of the American electorate that votes, and maybe they don't believe this specifically. They do agree with this sentiment. Like, it's ridiculous. There's been a large section of the American electorate that has been convinced that if you believe in deporting foreigners from the United States, you are a Nazi. I call you an ethnic cleansing advocate. But it's not ethnic cleansing when a massive amount of people who come into our country who shouldn't be here come in here and demographically displace Americans that are here already. That's not ethnic cleansing, but ethnic cleansing is apparently sending people who shouldn't be here back to where they came from. And again, honestly, if we really want to be honest, I believe that the politicians pushing this line, maybe not this line of thought specifically, but this sentiment should be held liable and accountable because they're stating lies. They are inciting people, their stupid base, to go out and obstruct law enforcement, to throw, what is it? What was even, like, I forget what was going, to shoot and throw explosive devices at federal facilities. They are encouraging all of this, and while they might not be encouraging these actions specifically, they are being alarmist, and their alarmism is causing people to go out and commit these actions. When you hear people like Chuck Schumer saying that the Save America Act is Jim Crow 2.0, in America, we're taught that Jim Crow was a bad thing. And if you're hearing someone of high authority who you should be able to trust, saying that this is Jim Crow 2.0, people are going to go and try and stop Jim Crow 2.0 from happening. The same thing happened with Donald Trump. Like, people said he was a Nazi, he was Hitler, he was racist, and it was everything. And so what ended up happening was you got like two people who tried to assassinate him. One almost succeeded. Look at Charlie Kirk. The guy was just talking to people. Did people like what he said all the time? No. Did everyone agree with what he said all the time? No. But these politicians would always say that Charlie Kirk is a hateful Nazi, and he wants to recreate the Third Reich, whatever. And so you have this left-wing transgender dating fool named Tyler Robinson who took that to heart and then shot Charlie Kirk in the neck. People like this. I'll bet this person, let me see their profile here. Oh, they have Lenin in their bio. I'm pretty sure that this person would have gladly cheered on the Charlie Kirk murder. I guarantee 100% that they would have cheered it on, or that they did cheer it on. And oh gosh, I'm getting out of this. That's some weird art there. But yeah, it's like it's just like, come on. These people are all bad faith actors. They don't they know what they're doing. People like that person that whose page I was just on. They know exactly what they are doing. It's like the old frickin' millennial woes tweet where the left pretends to not to under the left pretends not to understand things, thus making debate impossible. That's literally what American politics boils down to: is that they pretend not to understand things and they make debate impossible because of it. These people are bad faith actors, and honestly, we shouldn't be taking them seriously. Oh, actually, we should be taking them seriously, but we shouldn't be taking them seriously as someone who wants to have a honest discussion. They need to be. They need to. The people who are doing all this need to be dealt with in some way. They need to be arrested. They need to be locked up. They need to be made an example of. Hey, you do this, you're getting life in jail, just like these people were. We need massive amounts of people who do this arrested. Okay, good. We have a few people here. Okay. Antifa has thousands of sympathizers. We need thousands of arrests. We need public trials. We need confessions. We need special units dedicated to getting these people off the streets. Once that happens, and the hammer comes down to where these people will be too scared of engaging in this kind of behavior ever again, will we start to see progress. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to share this good news. I understand there's a lot happening in the world right now. There's Iran, there's this, and the Cuba's something things are going on with Cuba right now too, which I'm gonna try and figure out the finer details on that because as a Floridian, I have a vested interest in what happens in Cuba. It's only 90 miles away, but I thought I would share this good news with you today. And I'm gonna try and get back to my one video every 2 or 3 days setup. I was sick last week, so hence the slower schedule. But I also encourage you, if you want to, um, I'd encourage you to follow me on my X account at Austratominus, and also subscribe to my Substack page where I um, write things, which I think you'll find interesting if you enjoy these videos. Anyhow, thank you very much for listening. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you find this video interesting. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.